Who knew when they were making this motion picture it was possibly a historical document? Okay, everybody, today we're going all the way back to 1981 to take a look at a little gem of a motion picture that never gets talked about, never gets looked at, and it's basically been forgotten in the annals of time. We are talking about Lee Majors in The Last Chase. Before we go any further, before we look into this gem anymore, once and again, and as always, to the trailer.
In the year 2011, it was their perfect world, but there was no room for heroes.
I'm brought in.
There was no room for freedom. And now, it was time to run.
Blow that jerk's card.
The Last Chase.
I got it. 1,000 feet.
The ultimate hero, driving the last car on Earth in a fight for survival. The Rangers, Chris Makepeace, and Burgess Meredith as Williams.
$190, $205, $210, $220, $230, $240.
The Last Chase.
Okay, this motion picture was directed by Martyn Burke. Now, he doesn't really have a name that's going to jump out at you by any stretch of the imagination, but he did some award-winning writing and directing of documentaries and stuff like that. We're talking about he did things like Under Fire, Journalists in Combat, Making Avenging Angelo, America at a Crossroads, Witnesses, The Pirates of Silicon Valley, Power Play, The Clown Murderers. So he did some TV movies, some regular movies, some documentaries, things like that, whatever. It's not a big list. It is what it is. There you go. Okay, playing Franklyn Hart is the one and the only Lee Majors. Yes, he was in motion pictures like this and Steel and Killer Fish and some other crap. But really, he's a TV guy, and that's where his legacy lies. We're talking about he was in little things like Raven and Tour of Duty and Walker, Texas Ranger and Too Much Sun and Son of the Beach and Marcus Welby. But really, his big names. We're talking The Virginian, The Big Valley, and of course, his two biggies. We're talking The $6 Million Man, and we're talking The Fall Guy. It's amazing, really, because he was on these hit shows. Like 60s he had a series, and 70s he had a series, and 80s he had a series. So, was always out there, always in the public's eye, just the way it was. Played Captain Williams, the one, the only, Burgess Meredith. Let's run the numbers. We've done it before. We're talking about he's been in little kind of gems like Magic and Foul Play and The Sentinel, which I reviewed, and Burnt Offerings, which I reviewed, and The Hindenburg and Clash of the Titans. Come on. And really, he's going to be really known for two things. You know, he's going to be Mickey from Rocky and the dad from Grumpy Old Men. At least that's what most modern people are going to remember him as, those two things. And he did a lot of TV work, too. So, Burgess Meredith, true legend, hell of a career, great actor, is what it was. Playing young Mr. McCarthy, Chris Makepeace. You remember when this kid was just everywhere for like 7, 8, 9 years, and then all of a sudden, poof, he was gone? Let's take a look back. We're talking about he was Rudy the Rabbit in Meatballs. We're talking he was in Vamp, and My Bodyguard, and Captive Hearts, and Aloha Summer, and The Oasis, The Falcon and the Snowman, and some TV shows. But really, his career was short, really short. And I don't even think anybody can even find where this dude is today. He just came, he went, he's gone, and he just disappeared. Playing Eudora, Alexandra Stewart. Again, not a name that's going to jump at you, just the way it goes. But let's run some numbers. She was in little things like Frantic, and Black Moon, and Bolero, and The Agency, and The Destructors, and Day for Night, and Zeppelin, and The Wedding March, and The Bride Wore Black, and The Fire Within, and Emmanuel 3. If anybody remembers all that shit. Anyway, she was around. That's what she did. Let's keep moving. Blank Santana. Diana D'Aquila. Again, not a name that's going to jump out at you, but we're going to run through the list. We're talking about she was in little things like Winter Tan, Milk and Honey, Thick as Thieves, Married to It, Used People, Striking Poses, and TV. You know, Little Bear, True Crimes, Slings and Arrows, Echoes in Darkness, and she did some theater work too. So she was out there, she was out, she was about. Not a name that's going to hit you over the head, just the way it is. Okay, playing Hawkins, George Touliatos, and I know I probably didn't pronounce that right. I never could before, and I can't now. It's just the way it's going to be. But you're going to recognize his face, maybe, because he did a lot of TV work. Let's get going. We're talking about he was on stuff like Night Heat, and The Thriller, Street Legal, and The Commish, and The X-Files, and Mantis, and Lonesome Dove, and The Outer Limits, and John Doe, and Dead Man's Gun. So, out and about, was what it was, did what he did. You might recognize him, you might not, is what it goes. Okay, playing Morley, I'm just going to give him a shout out. This guy, Ben Gordon, you know what I mean? 'Cause he has a prominent role in this, but you're not really going to remember him from anything. He popped up on some TV way back in the later days, some comedy troupes and shit like that. But he's in this. I just wanted to give him some props. You're probably not going to remember him. Okay, everybody, we're going to try to do this in 90 seconds or less. We can keep it short, keep it fast, keep it entertaining, keep it moving, so we can all get to where we would much rather be. The summation. You got this guy, Franklyn Hart. Lee Majors. He's a race car driver, and at one of his races there's a horrific accident, and a couple of the other drivers die, and he loses his nerve, he loses his feel, but he still likes taking his car out, he still likes going to the track and going in circles, in the whole 9 yards. Well, around that time, there is a big viral plague that breaks out across the globe, where millions of people are dying. They don't know how it started, they don't know where it came from, they don't know why it ended. It just appeared, was there, and disappeared. And during that time, the government seized incredible amounts of tyrannical control. And one of the things that they deemed was that all gas-powered vehicles must be surrendered to the government to be destroyed. So they take his car and they make this guy basically a spokesman for the Department of Mass Transportation. He's not happy there, but he kind of fits the bill. You know, a former sinner who drove gasoline vehicles, and all of a sudden now he speaks for the government to get you to take mass transit and accept the new rules. And he does this year in and year out for the next 20 years. But it's never quite sat with him. It's never quite made him happy. He thinks the government's gone too far, and he is really not on board. Along the way, he starts to speak out at some of his social gatherings. He starts to sense things that really the government does approve of. And they really start cracking down old Franklyn Hart. They really start putting some pressure on, telling him that he might have to go to a re-education center if he doesn't get himself back in line and start spouting the party cause. Franklyn's had enough. He's really got this problem. He knows that they're going to arrest him. He knows that things aren't going well. So he's got his old race car buried in concrete underneath his garage, and he is going to get out of there because he has been receiving messages that in the United States of America, there is one state where you can be free, one state where you can have a gasoline vehicle, one state rebelling against the rest of the system. California. Okay, back on track. Anyway, during one of his speeches, though, he makes an impression upon a young man. This young man who also seems to be hacking into the government mainframe and just wreaking havoc and destroying files and doing all kinds of shit. The government finds out who this kid is. You know, young Chris Makepeace, Rudy the Rabbit. He bolts, he runs to Franklyn Hart's house, he's holed up there. Franklyn Hart kind of covers for the kid, but they figure out that he's lying. They all go back there en masse, and Hart and Rudy the Rabbit hop in this car that he just reassembled, and they barrel the hell out of there, and I think Boston, Massachusetts, and they are running to California so that they can be free. Along the way, the government has to stop him. This guy is a symbol. He can break all the order down. He can destroy everything by being the one man who stood up against the no gasoline rule. So, what do? They ain't got nothing to catch this guy. He's got a car that's doing like 250 miles an hour. They enlist an old fighter pilot, one Burgess Meredith, and they say to him, we'll let you fly again. We'll give you an old F-86 Sabre like you used to have if you go up there in the sky and you just blow these bastards off the road so that it doesn't make us look bad. Burgess Meredith says, well, yeah, I'll do that. I'd love to fly again. I've just been hanging out in a friggin' room, flying a kite, losing my mind for the last 20 years. I'll do it. Along the way, Burgess Meredith, though, he's got no intentions of killing these people. That's not what he's about. He just wanted to fly a friggin' plane. Maybe scare them off the road, that kind of shit. Anyway, they have some encounters out there. They have some chases out there. They have some situations out there. Will he turn on them? Will he help them? Will Franklyn and Rudy the Rabbit ever make it to California where they can be free? Who knows? I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to watch the movie to see. It's a good ride. Trust me. Okay, everybody. Does The Last Chase work? Yeah, The Last Chase works. It's a fun ride. I remember seeing it in 1981. It's a good little flick. It's a good little jaunt. And if you don't expect too much from it, you're going to have one hell of a fun time. Now, before we get into this any further, let's get the big three out of the way. The directing, it's all right. It's not stunning. It's not amazing. But there's some hell of a good shots of the airplane and car doing some interactions and stuff like that. So it's shot well. Is it a Spielberg flick? No. Is it a Coppola flick? No. But the directing is solid. It's good. Almost has a documentary type feel to it. And it's presented in a nice clean-cut way that you'll enjoy. And like I said, a lot of the shots of the airplane and the car doing their thing, and we'll get into that later, was just awesome. The writing, I mean, come on. It's good enough. It is what it is. The story's cool, but as we're talking about dialogue that's just popping out of people's mouths, fair enough. A little bit of cartoonish stuff in there. A lot of characters are just, cutouts of what you would expect that kind of a character to be. It is what it is. But for this kind of motion picture, listen, if you can rock with Death Race 2000 and you can do all that kind of stuff, it doesn't matter. You're fine with this. In the acting. Well, the acting is what it is. I mean, there's nothing masterpiece theater in this thing, but it's solid. Come on. Lee Majors has never been known as a great actor, but he's got that Lee Majors charm. He's got that Lee Majors aura. That kind of makes him that kind of guy you want to watch or you want to hang out with. You know what I mean? He's fucking Lee Majors. It's just the way it is. Burgess Meredith always turns in a good performance. I don't give a shit what that man is in. Burgess Meredith always delivers, always does a great job, and that's all you need to know. And of course, you got Chris Makepeace as the third part of the main triangle in this thing. And as a kid actor, he always delivered solid work, always did a good job. Don't know why his career ended, is the way it is. But he did good. And everybody else that basically plays a bad guy, they really played bad guys well. Some of it a little bit over the top, but it's solid, it delivers, and it does a good enough acting job. Now let's get back to why this motion picture works. Why does this motion picture work? Simply because it's fun. And it has that kind of escapism, mankind against the system kind of vibe to it. Everybody loves those kind of movies. Let's face it, folks. Everybody loves those kind of things where it's like these two people against everything and they're going for it. I don't give a shit if it was like, anything from the 80s cheese to like the Legend of Billie Jean or The Getaway with Steve McQueen and Ali MacGraw. People love those kind of movies, those kind of on-the-run movies, those kind of we're getting the hell out of here movies with this convoy. I don't give a shit what it is. People love those movies, and this movie falls into that line and delivers. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, the driving work in this thing is just awesome, and the plane work in this thing is just incredible. I mean, the scenes where they're coming at each other head-on on the road, or the scenes where the plane comes right behind them and just takes right over the top. This is the days of in-camera shit, everybody. There's no CGI in this. There's no model car and model plane. It's a friggin' plane. And it's a friggin' car. And they're really doing this shit on the friggin' road and in the friggin' sky. And it just looks amazing. The movie never really slows down either or bogs into place. Yeah, when they find and they're hiding out with those group of people in the woods and all that kind of stuff, sure, it might slow it down a little bit, but nothing too much. The movie for like an hour and 40, whatever it is, keeps a good pace and keeps moving, never gets boring, never gets stale. It's actually well-paced, well-timed, and it keeps itself at a nice, cool hum so that it's not ridiculously loaded with action to the point where it gets stupid, and it never slows down enough to the point where you're like, man, when is this going to end? And it also falls into that great line of motion pictures of Big Brother is watching type of stuff. You know what I mean? Those motion pictures where it warns you about corporations and it warns you about government. And there's so many of those motion pictures from that time zone. that are just legendary. I don't care if it's THX 1138. I don't care if it's the Andromeda strain. I don't care what the hell it is. This movie fits into there, basically saying, watch out, folks. Shit can get out of hand really quick, and you might lose some of your freedoms. All right, does this motion picture have any downsides? That's only if you're really expecting too much from it, to be brutally honest. I mean, if you're looking for the most gorgeous of directing, you might not find that in every scene. If you're looking for the best of acting, you're probably not going to get that in every scene. If you're looking for a story with absolutely no plot holes, you're probably not going to find it. But there's nothing really glaring that jumps out that wrecks it because of the kind of movie it is and where it fits in. Again, some of the government bureaucrats are like almost insanely evil, especially the Hawkins character. I mean, he's almost over the top, insanely fucking evil. But is anything really going to take you out of it where you say, oh, this just wrecks the movie? No, not really. And actually the soundtrack, if you listen to it, the score to this motion picture is pretty damn good for a movie that basically nobody remembers. Anyway, everybody, get out there and check out 1981's The Last Chase. You can find it on YouTube for free. So it ain't like you have to go out of your way to spend any cash on it or hunt it down. It's a good, solid, little fun action flick. Quite a bit of a cautionary tale in there, to say the goddamn least. In a fun ride that I'm sure you will enjoy from top to bottom, stem to stern, and no matter what, it's a good look back at a piece of movie making that you just won't see anymore. In-camera, fun action flicks. All right, everybody, once again, and as always, take care. Be good. Stay out of trouble. Always be kind to a stranger. Always be there for a friend. But more than anything, never, I mean ever, take any bullshit from anybody. See you soon.